are a lot of state governments that don't do the right thing, but some states allow people to weigh in. And in the past few years, there've been a number of great ballot initiatives that have accomplished what state governments won't. But unfortunately, you also have state governments that really don't give a damn what happens with these ballot initiatives, so they try to defang them, and we have an example of that here. Less than 3 months after voters approved a constitutional amendment to raise Florida's minimum wage to $15 an hour, a Senate Republican has filed a proposal that could lead to some workers making less than that. So take a look at this. Really, take a look at this. The amendment approved in the November election will increase the minimum wage to $10 an hour on September 30th, and annual increases will bring it to $15 an hour on September 30th, 2026. But Senate Judiciary Chairman Jeff Brandes, Republican, filed a proposal Wednesday that, if approved, would modify that amendment to allow the legislature to provide a reduced minimum wage for workers under the age of 21, those convicted of felonies, state prisoners, and for other hard to hire employees. So we've got a little bit more on like theoretically him trying to defend this, but he is just saying like, if you're one of these groups, we want you to be standing next to other workers doing the exact same job, but because we don't like your group, we want you to make significantly less money. That's amazing, Ben.
Yeah, and they're so transparent with it. The other thing is the timeline, right? 2026. I mean, the minimum wage right now, if it kept up with workers' efficiency, should be somewhere around $22, right? So by 2026, that efficiency should probably be $30 an hour. And we got to get out of this type of incrementalism that seeks to pacify and assuage the anguish of the people with solutions that are going to be insufficient in the future because they're insufficient now.
Yeah, I mean so yes, that's a problem, and that's a problem with this ballot initiative, but also with what's being discussed in Washington. It's obviously a much better situation than keeping it 725, which Trump would have been perfectly happy with eliminating it altogether. Lots of Republicans would, but all of your criticisms are 100% valid. But like specifically saying like those convicted of felonies who already have a hard time getting a job. Now, if you're actually able to get one, screw you. We want you to make as little money as possible.
Right.
Now, he didn't immediately respond to a request from the appeal where there's great reporting on this, and you can read all the details there at the appeal. But he spent the day on Twitter claiming that lowering the minimum wage for teens or the formerly incarcerated will somehow help them. He cited multiple right or libertarian-leaning think tanks, which alleged that minimum wage hikes would lead to a spike in unemployment for those groups. A significant amount of research contradicts those claims, as we've gone over a million times. One representative from Florida pointed out that higher wages will keep people out of prison, which they claim is their goal, to not have recidivism and all of that. He responded to that saying, once they get a job, but you're not doing anything that changes the chance of them getting a job. You're just trying to hurt them if they do get a job. So I don't even understand that response. But she responds to that saying, and the jobs they find right now pay poverty wages, which often put them back into prison. Increasing the wage will keep them out of prison. If your point is that we don't have enough jobs for the incarcerated, let's create them, not punish them. And also, hard to expect the formerly incarcerated to pay their fines, fees without a good paying job, just saying, which actually ties very well into another topic, which we're gonna get to in just a second. But that seems like a great point. If you want people to not get in prison in the first place, let alone go back to it, pay them a good wage.
Yeah. And John, back to your first point too, right? That can't be overstated. The fact that they're trying to vilify in this way, they're trying to use someone's past to vilify their future, right? And the willingness to do that really, as the people, we the people, us, all of us, if we allow them to do this with returned citizens, people who have paid their dues and their debts for what they did, if we allow them to do that for them, then it's obviously a backdoor way to keep minimum wage reduced for as many people as possible. So we can't allow them to use our fear of returned citizens and to vilify them, because it's going to end up hurting us in return.
Exactly, and this isn't the first time that Florida has tried to either totally eliminate or defang a ballot initiative. It's not even the first time they've done it with regards to returned citizens. So the Florida legislature has long treated grassroots ballot initiatives with open contempt. In 2017, after more than 70% of state voters elected to legalize medical marijuana, state lawmakers responded by temporarily making it illegal to smoke medicinal weed. In 2018, when a supermajority of Floridians voted to return voting rights to at least 1.4 million formerly incarcerated people, the GOP-dominated legislature passed a glorified poll tax that made sure that 800,000 of those people remained ineligible to vote. So they basically said, you still can't vote until you pay off all these fines, and we're gonna make it virtually impossible, not only for you to do this, and by the way, this is one way to help make it impossible for you to pay off those fines, by making sure you earn as little as possible. But in many cases, it was almost impossible to even find out what your fees were. They'd created a system that was impossible to navigate. Even if you 100% just wanted to pay off your debt to society monetarily, in addition to the incarceration, which you already paid, they made it impossible because the goal is not to stimulate more civic responsibility. It's to stop these people from voting because they believe that these people are gonna vote for Democrats.
Absolutely, because they are. They're gonna vote, and in fact, they're gonna vote to the left of Democrats. They're gonna vote to change the system, because if anyone understands exactly how brutal this system is, the people who are being housed for profit by these corporations that make money off of private prisons. But shout out to Joe Biden for canceling those contracts. And also shout out to Desmond Meade. He's the brother who worked on that initiative in Florida that helped return citizens get their voting rights. And I have to actually, didn't Michael Bloomberg, didn't he kind of fly in to try to help pay off of some of those debts, if I remember correctly?
Supposedly he did, actually. I don't remember a final amount. Look at you giving credit to him. Didn't expect to see that.
I didn't either, but if he actually does it, hey, broken clock, right?
Exactly. And by the way, if you want to, I just checked because when you said Desmond Meade, it rung a bell. We actually interviewed Desmond Meade about that effort, so that's available if people are interested as well. Anyway, yeah, just the demonization. By the way, shout out to Bernie Sanders, who relatively early on in the primary last time around called for people still serving their sentences to be able to vote, because newsflash, there's nothing in the Constitution that says that they shouldn't be able to. That's just a thing that we decided. And it works out that politicians saying that those in prison are bad are always gonna have more people on their side than those who say, hey, but they're still humans.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he got criticized a lot for that. And now it turns out that people around the country think that you don't necessarily lose all of your consideration, your human worth and all of that when you go to prison.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.